My name is Martin Eugene. Again, I'm an education specialist with the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. Who here has ever heard of the Solid Waste Authority? Yeah? Okay, so we're the government agency that's responsible for processing all of the waste in Palm Beach County. I'm going to touch on the recycling, and there's a reason why I'm going to touch on the recycling, but I'm also going to touch on also the other efforts that we do to manage all of the waste, all right? All right, so that main reason why I wanted to focus on the recycling is because we came as, we were rated #1 out of the other 67 counties in Florida in terms of recycling. And that's because of the program that we have here. So we have a dual stream program, and that allows us to eliminate contamination. But on the other end of that, because we have that dual stream program, it really is the residents that allowed us to do that. So first and foremost, can I just get a round of applause for you guys? Because without you guys, we wouldn't have been able to do that. All right. So there's a lot of new people coming to Florida, or to Palm Beach County. Our population is growing a lot, and that's why we want to continue to educate the population about how we recycle so that we can keep maintaining this number. So we were able to recycle 80% of all the recyclables that we received. There's a 75% limit that the Florida Department of Environmental Protections sets for us to meet, and we were one of the only 4 counties that hit that. All right, so you can see kind of how hard it is for counties to do that. All right, so our job is really difficult because Palm Beach County is the largest county in Florida in terms of total land area, and we have the 4th largest county in terms of population. So we have 1.5 million people living in Palm Beach County, all right, and they're spread across a very large area. So we have all the way up into Cuesta up here, and then we have all the way down to Boca, and all the way west to the Glades that we have to gather garbage from and then bring it to be processed. Okay? The way that we do that is with an integrated solid waste management system, all right? So all of our systems are working together. So in this picture, what you see is Palm Beach County, and you see there are these orange boxes placed throughout the county. Those are transfer stations. These transfer stations are strategically placed for us to consolidate the waste throughout the county, so we're not spending a lot of gas, manpower, and also congesting our highways to transport all of this waste over to our renewable energy park, where most of our waste gets processed. All right? So when you see your hauler come to your house and pick up the waste, they're going to bring it to one of these transfer stations. And then there, it's going to get put into one of the SWA tractor trailers, a very large truck. You probably see them on the highway. And they can hold 5 to 7 times more than those smaller haulers that come to your house. A part of that integrated solid waste management system is kind of like an economy. And so those haulers are actually independent companies. They are actually contracted by your city or through the Solid Waste Authority for unincorporated Palm Beach County to pick up your waste, all right? So this is kind of just a breakdown. Ooh, that kind of went too fast. Let's rewind that. So, as I said, we have 1.5 million people here in Palm Beach County, and on average, people generate around 13 pounds of waste every day. So in total, we make around 19.5 million pounds that we have to collect, all right? That just gives you a scale of the job that we're doing. So that's enough waste to fill up an entire, why is it going on its own? That's weird. Okay, that's enough waste to fill up an entire football field all the way up to the goalpost, which is kind of what you can see right here. And that's just one day, all right? Now, once that waste is collected, though, it's going to come to Renewable Energy Park. This is Renewable Energy Park right here, all right? And so I work in this building right over here. That's the admin building. We have our 2 active landfills in Palm Beach County. This is the Class 1 landfill, and this is our Class 3 landfill. Our Class 1 landfill mostly gets residential waste. These days, because of what we do with your regular waste, we burn it and turn it into electricity. We're mostly putting ash in that landfill. But our Class 3 landfill, that one is a single liner landfill, and that's designed to get things that are too large to be put inside of our incinerators. And so that waste is actually usually like construction and demolition debris, things that aren't going to burn, all right? Next to them, we have our 2 renewable energy facilities. Again, that's where our waste is going to be burned and turned into electricity. We have our education center, where we usually host tour groups for students and also the general public as well. Then we have our home chemical and recycling center over here. That is our main location. We have one at each of the transfer stations throughout the county. We have a total of 7 of them. And we ask residents to bring waste that could be potentially hazardous to the environment and ourselves there. So think things like old cooking oil, old paint. If you have any gasoline maybe that you were holding for hurricane season and that you didn't use, you can also bring there as well, all right? We have our biosolids facility right here. That's where we process the biosolids in Palm Beach County in conjunction with the wastewater facilities and turn that into eco-friendly fertilizer. And then we have our recovered material processing facility. That's where your recycling is going to end up, so it can be further sorted. Okay, so going into depth into these waste streams, as I mentioned before, in Palm Beach County, we have a dual bin system. You guys probably have a yellow and a blue bin at your house. And in other places, other counties, they have a single bin, all right? And the reason that they do that, they put all their recyclables into one bin, and when it gets to their recovered material processing facility, it's gonna be sorted. However, when you put all that material together, it can get contaminated. Sometimes those containers that was holding food might still have food residue in it, and then that gets on the paper, and then that paper can't be recycled. Paper recycles is actually very sensitive. If it gets contamination in it, it can't really be recycled. You probably have heard before that old pizza boxes that have grease on them, you shouldn't put them in your recycling container because it has that grease on it. Paper can only be recycled so many times, and when it gets contaminated like that, then it can't be recycled at all. All right, so by having 2 bins, by separating those containers that had the food from the paper and the cardboard, we help maintain or help eliminate contamination so that when we do the further sort at our recovered material processing facility, our recyclables are really clean, and recyclers that buy our material can be guaranteed that the material isn't going to be contaminated. And that helps save natural resources. All right, so our next waste stream, as I mentioned, is the Home Chemical and Recycling Center. There you can bring all of your old or potentially hazardous materials. Right now, we have a campaign that we're pushing for lithium batteries. That's a really big issue in the country right now, actually over in Doral. Facility, one of their waste facilities got burned down to the ground because of a lithium battery. And they're a really big issue because when they enter into the waste stream, those lithium batteries can get punctured because they're being put into trucks that doesn't really care about the waste. And it can get punctured and it can get introduced into to water. And when lithium gets introduced to water, it creates an exothermic reaction, which is basically like a fire. All right? And those fires are really hard to put out. So now we're trying to really educate the public about maintaining those lithium batteries because they're everywhere. They're in our phones, they're in our laptops, they're in those scooters that we're seeing a lot more on the roads now. And so we want to make sure that they're getting bought here so that they don't cause any hazards. All right? One of the things I'd like to mention, because I wasn't aware of it until I started working at the Solid Waste Authority, was old cooking oil. So old cooking oil is another thing that you can bring to us. Maybe if, like, fry a turkey for Thanksgiving. I know a couple people do that. That old cooking oil, we're going to turn it into biodiesel. All right? So instead of it being flushed down the drain, which you shouldn't do because it can cause clogs in the pipes, by bringing it to us, it can be turned into something useful. All right? This is the whole reason that we're doing that is to keep our waterways clean. In Florida, a lot of our water or our water table is really close to the surface. In fact, the city of West Palm Beach gets the majority of their water from a park called Grassy Waters. All right, you can actually go visit there and you can canoe in those waters, but most of those waters are utilized by the city of West Palm for their drinking water. And if any of these chemicals were to get into those waterways, it can pollute that entire body, which is pretty bad. All right. The next is our recovery or our renewable energy facilities. We have 2 renewable energy facilities. The first one was opened back in 1989. And when we opened that one, we were able to burn around 50% of all of the waste generated in Palm Beach County and then turn it into electricity. Now, that's not the main reason why we're burning waste. That's only a byproduct, all right? So the main reason that we're doing that is because we're trying to do a volume reduction of the waste. And that's actually the reason why we created renewable energy facility number 2, because around 2010, our engineers realized that our landfills were going to be filled up or completed, as they say in the industry, and nowhere in the county did they want a new landfill. All the other municipalities said they didn't want one. So instead of making a new landfill, we made renewable energy facility number 2, and that allowed us to burn around like over 90% of the waste generated in Palm Beach County, all right? And that extended the lifespan of our landfill, which was supposed to be closed in 2020, till 2054, which is a really long expansion. All right, but now, as I mentioned to you, we do have the energy that we create from burning the waste. And we make enough electricity to power around 90,000 homes and most of the facilities at Renewable Energy Park, which is pretty cool. So we're taking waste, which is really not useful and actually stinks, and we're turning it into something useful that we use every day, like electricity, which is pretty cool. All right, our second to last waste stream is the biosolids pelletizer. So what we do there is we partner with the wastewater facilities. They truck over to us around 600 wet tons of sludge, or number 2. We bake that and we turn that, sterilize it, and we turn it into an eco-friendly fertilizer. All right, we sell the pellets of your number 2 to fertilizer people that generate fertilizer, and you can actually buy it in the stores at like Lowe's and Home Depots, which is pretty cool. All right. Last resort are the landfills. As I mentioned, we have 2 landfills here in Palm Beach County, and we're trying to find ways to extend the landfills past that 2054 date. Some of those ways that we're doing that is either utilizing the ash within construction projects, like probably using it within like sidewalk construction. We're also trying to see if we can recover smaller metals that didn't burn with our advanced metal recovery technology. All right, but eventually the landfill will be closed, and when that happens, we're probably going to turn it to a park. Who here has ever been to Dyer Park? Anybody? So Dyer Park used to be a landfill. Now it's open to the public. You can actually go fly drones there. There's baseball fields there. You can go and ride your bike there. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of sites throughout Palm Beach County that are actually very similar to that. My favorite one is over in Lake Worth. They have a renewable energy field where they have solar panels laid out. And that field used to be Lake Worth's landfill, which is pretty cool. All right, so recycling in Palm Beach County, again, if you are recycling, you're using the blue and the yellow bin that we have here. The reason that I have these asterisks by them is just to differentiate between multi-family units and single-family units. So these bins are given out for free. We want residents to recycle as much as possible, all right? If you need a new bin, do not hesitate to call and order a new bin. And if you live in a multi-family unit, you can also coordinate with your community to have these bins brought out. Or if you already have those bins there and you guys need more, feel free to contact us so that we can try to get as more bins out there as possible so that we're recycling more, right? All right, so this is an idea of like what contamination looks like. Sometimes people think it's all ending up in the same place. I've seen them put it in the truck. They just mix it all together. What's the point of me separating it? So I might as well just put all the recyclables in any old bin. But that's not true. The trucks that we have are actually designed, they have a divider in them that makes sure that the waste is never mixed together again, all right? It might look like it's going through the same porthole, but actually that same port is also divided as well, all right? So when this happens and this gets to our facility, first the hauler's not gonna pick it up when it looks like that. We make sure that they know that this is not okay, all right? But if this was to end up and go to our facility, this could create a lot of problems, all right? Because when this gets sorted, we do have people that try to do a negative sort and remove material that shouldn't be there, but some of this stuff might not get grabbed. And that can cause the recyclables that we're selling to recyclers to not be as pure as we say it is, all right? So if we're telling them this bale is all cardboard, and in that cardboard bale there's actually a whole bunch of plastic bottles, then they're gonna be like, hey, I bought this, but this product wasn't good, all right? And I'm not gonna buy any more from you. If that makes sense. All right, so this is just a breakdown of the different things you can put, because everyone always has questions. Whenever I do these presentations, I always have neighbors that have burning questions or want to verify if this can be recycled or this can't be recycled. And this is just a breakdown of some of those things, all right? So with plastic bottles, keep the lid on. That's always been a question people want to know. Can we keep that lid on? If it's a glass jar and it has a metal lid, then you would separate those lids and you would put them both in the same bin as well, all right? What's another one? Cartons. A lot of people aren't aware that the fact that you would put cartons in your blue bin. Even though cartons look like they're made out of cardboard, they're actually lined with plastic, and the paper, the cardboard that was utilized to make those cartons are at the end of their recycling lifespan. So we're trying to reclaim that plastic that's in them, all right? And that would be the same for like juice boxes. But also, a lot of people think that Capri Sun pouches can be put in your recycling bin, and those actually cannot. Those would go in your regular garbage. All right, some things just that as we like to hit on, it's like foam products, styrofoam, definitely just put that in your regular garbage. aluminum foil or aluminum pans that you serve food on, that would go in your regular garbage as well. Any like plastic utensils, that would go into your garbage as well. And you can trust that things that are going to go in your regular garbage, those things are going to be burned and turned into electricity, which is really fortunate for the residents of Palm Beach County, because in other places it might just go into the landfill. All right, so this is a video, and I can see if I can play it from here. All right, of the recovered material processing facility. All right, so this is an outside view of it. The whole building, just like our trucks, are divided into two sides, the blue bin side and the yellow bin side. And the yellow bin side is called the fiber side. All of our tractor trailers, which you see right here, they unload all the material with a walking floor mechanism. So what they do, instead of tilting up, is they slowly push out the waste by having slats on the bottom of the floor that slowly push it out. This is the tipping floor. You can see there's a lot more cardboard in there, and we actually call that the Amazon effect, because right now everyone is receiving packages from Amazon, and cardboard is really valuable within the recycling economy right now. All right, there's a high demand for it. So once that, you can see it's actually coming out of one side from that truck. Once it gets put onto the tipping floor, it's going to get loaded onto its first conveyor belt. From that conveyor belt, it's going to go to a negative sort. And what that basically is that we have workers that are looking at the material, all right? They have PPE on to make sure that they're not going to get hurt, and they're grabbing things that they can identify doesn't belong there. Sometimes people do wish recycling, and they'll think like, oh, I have a piece of wood. Paper and cardboard is made of trees and that has wood, so I can put that wood there. We ask them to grab things like that they can identify. But things that they can't identify, we say just let that go, because we don't want them to get hurt. The next thing that we're seeing here is a star screen. That star screen basically separates paper from cardboard. So all the material is going to fall on it, and the paper is going to fall through, whereas the cardboard is going to keep on moving across. Then it goes through another negative sort to get as much of that material that doesn't belong there as possible. And then it's going to go to the trommel, which is right there. It's basically like a salad spinner. It's spinning all the material to get as much particulate out of it as possible, the same way that a salad spinner spins to get as much water off of those leaves, all right? And then it's gonna go onto another conveyor where it gets dumped, and it's gonna be baled. So you can see that front end loader is moving it over to the baler. So our paper products, we have 3 different paper products. We have our regular paper, we have our premium, and then we have our cardboard. All right, and that material is going to be baled using steel cords, and then we keep that material inside of our facility, because in Florida, it rains whenever it feels like it, and we wouldn't want that material to get all waterlogged and wet. All right, so the next side is our container side. That's basically our plastics, our metals, our glasses, and then also those cartons as well. So the same thing, it's gonna first get dumped onto the tipping floor, all right? All the material is gonna get put on the tipping floor just like that. This side is a little bit more complicated because there's a lot of more different materials in this side, and some things actually don't get baled, which is pretty interesting. So that front end loader is gonna pick up some of that material and put it on its first conveyor belt. And then it's gonna get brought over to another conveyor belt that's lined with magnets, so we can get rid of those steel cans. All right, so the first thing that gets removed is the steel cans. You can see those magnets are actually on top of it like that. And if you look closely, you can see it's kind of grabbing some of them. And the rest of the material is just gonna fall and continue onto the rest of the path. So the steel cans actually don't get baled. We actually have them in a pile like that. And then trucks will just back up and then get loaded. The trucks like that. And then we have another negative sort that starts it off. This is our glass crusher. It's very similar to the star screen. Majority of the material is going to bounce across it, but then the glass is gonna shatter and fall through. I like to call this the Niagara Falls of glass. It's our giant bale, and you can see it's actually just raining glass there. We can actually use that glass. We've been seeing if we can use it in road cover, which is pretty cool. The next thing that's gonna happen is there's an eddy current, which is kind of like static electricity, but with purpose, that is directed at the material to push the aluminum cans just a little bit further and separate them. all right? Now what's left is basically our plastics and our cartons. Those are gonna go over to a optical sorter. It's a piece of technology that uses lasers to identify the density of the different material, and then it separates them accordingly. So you've probably noticed on plastic containers that they usually have a recycling symbol with a number inside of them, and that identifies the different types of plastics that they're made out of, all right? So different types of plastics have to be separated. We have our high density dyed plastic, our high density non-dyed, and then we have our regular plastic bottles, our PET plastic that's used for water bottles, and then we have a mix, all right? But we don't take a styrofoam. That's the only plastic we don't process there. It's gonna get baled up, and these we can actually hold outside. These can get rained on, that's completely fine. And eventually it's gonna get sold over to a recycler so it can be turned into new material. So a big problem, and I think that's the one that's going to be the next slide on this, but a big problem with at our recovered material processing facility are plastic bags, all right? And I think this next one's going to show us why. Last thing that they always show us is at all of our facilities, all the trucks that come and go have to be weighed so that we know how much waste is entering our facility, but also that we know that they're maintaining the law. So tractor trailers, they cannot be more than 80,000 pounds for them to be road legal, and that's just to make sure that they're not doing any more damage to the roads, making more potholes, because again, that's gonna take tax dollars for us to fix those. All right, yeah, so plastic bags are a really big issue for us. Well, the reason that we don't recycle them is because when they enter into our facility, they get tangled into our equipment, all right? And it causes us to have to shut down processing. So we have to stop sorting all the material to cut all of those plastic bags individually, which you'll see in this video right here. All right, so this right here is our star screen. All right, it's processing all the cardboard and the paper, pushing it through, but within that material, there's plastic bags, all right? And those plastic bags are getting caught onto the star screen, and because of that, eventually, they're gonna have to shut everything down, and a worker is gonna have to go individually and cut each individual plastic bag one at a time before we can start recycling again. Now, this is a really big time suck, and we're trying to process as much material as possible so that we can offer those recyclables to recyclers so that it's not just sitting there, all right? So some people think that if you have like your recycling in a plastic bag because you're reusing it, which is something that we do say, reuse those single-use bags as like trash bags, but if you're gonna sort your recyclables into them, you then have to empty that bag into like a recycling bin. All right, so there are a few retailers that are collecting plastic bags, and they do recycle them. So recycling, basically, the name of the game is getting like-minded things together, all right? So instead of putting those plastic bags in your recycling bin, you can bring them to those certain retailers, and they're gonna consolidate all those plastic bags together so that they can then be recycled, all right? We're also doing a new campaign called our Exchange 2 program. So what it is at certain events, you can bring single-use plastic bags, 2 of them, and we'll give you 2 reusable bags in exchange for them. You can also do the same thing over at a few of our home chemical and recycling centers, like the one located on North Jog. You can bring it there. There's actually workers there that can do the exchange program for you there. All right, so if you ever want, I know people really do like these bags, if you ever want one of our reusable bags, all you have to do is just bring in 2 single-use bags and then promise us that you're gonna reuse those bags as many times as possible as opposed to getting those single-use bags. All right, so what can you do? All right, so by understanding how we recycle in Palm Beach County, you can recycle whenever there is an opportunity to do so, all right? We also ask to be more mindful of those lithium batteries. Like I mentioned, that's a really big initiative for us that we're trying to push. We don't want any of our facilities to burn down. And by understanding where you can find lithium batteries, like another one that's really surprising is in those cards, those greeting cards that sing. Those are actually lithium batteries in those ones as well. All right, so it's not all of them are rechargeable batteries too. All right, but by understanding where you can find them, and we actually have a tool on our website so you can kind of like search if this battery is lithium or not, you can bring them to our home chemical and recycling center, and that helps mitigate any dangerous incidents. We also asked people to do the 4 R's. So instead of having reduce, reuse, and recycle, we added a new one called rethink. And we asked you to take all of your waste, look at it, and see how it fits within the other 3 R's. All right, it's one thing to understand what those 3 R's mean, but it's another thing to actually put them in practice. And by adding that 4th R, we're just asking you to really put all of your waste within that mindset. So if you guys want, we added a QR code for you to take a tour of our facility. We offer tours to the community. We also do them for school events too. We would love for you guys to come out, especially since you guys do trips to other environmentally conscious places. Definitely you guys would be welcome to come and check out our facility. But if any of you guys want to, feel free to take a picture of the QR code.